Hello students, I am Kiran Baholia, TGT Social Science, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya Kundeshwar, Tikamgarh. Here I am present e-content for subject Social Science, Class 6, History, Chapter 1, What, Where, How and When. So our topic is, what can you know about the past? In this topic, we will discuss here some subtopics. That is, where did people live? After that, we will discuss name of the land India and Bharat. Next, finding about the past, manuscript and inscription. After that, we will discuss about what do dates mean, BC and AD. And lastly, in elsewhere, we will see Rosetta Stone of Egypt. So let's start our topic. What can you know about the past? So student, finding out what happened yesterday. You could listen to the radio, watch television, read the newspaper, and if you want to know what happened last year, you ask somebody who remember. But what about long ago? What can we know about the past? So we can find out several things: what people ate, the kinds of clothes they wore, the houses in which they lived. We can find out about the lives of hunter, herder, farmers, rural, merchants, priest, craftsperson, artist, musician and scientist. We can also find out about the games children played, the stories they heard, the songs they sung. Next topic is, where did people live? So, in the past, earliest men have lived along the banks of river Narmada for several hundred and millions years before. And some of the earliest men who lived here were skilled gatherers. That is, people who gathered their food. And it is very interesting that these earliest men was very much familiar about the vast wealth of forest and their produce. So they collected all over the fruits, roots and forest produce for their food. Besides this, they also hunted animals and for their food. After that, around 8,000 years ago, some of the areas of the Suleiman and Kirthar hills to the northwest, women and men first began to grow crops like wheat and barley. This is possible only that after this time, climate is critically changed. Temperature arise and wheat and barley and this type of grasslands naturally grown in the nature. So people find out and choose these crops and started to grow them for their food. Besides this, people also began to rearing cattle like sheep, goat, cow, buffalo, and they also started rearing animals. And from the animals, they got milk, skin, wool, and animals' meat for their food. In this way, when people started growing crops, crops are need extra care in their growing period. So people have to stay in the crops place permanently. In this way, the permanent permanent living started from now, and slowly small villages like developed in this area. Similarly, this period in the Garo Khasi hills in northeast and Vindhyan range in the Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, rice was first grown in this place. So in this way, we say around 800 years ago, people became agricultural and their farmers and agricultures were well developed. The next topic is development of civilization. Around 5,000 years ago, some of the earliest cities flourished along the bank of Indus and their tributaries. That is Indus Valley civilization. The Indus Valley civilization was first discovered by English archaeologist Sir John Marshall during his excavation period 1920 in 1920-21, and the Harappa cities was first discovered. And the special thing about the Harappa cities, this was the well planned urban city established in their time. After Harappa, so that's why it is also called Harappa civilization. After Harappa, many cities developed, many cities discovered like Mohenjo-daro, Lothal, Kalibanga, etc. These are the cities of urban civilization. After that, around 25 years ago, cities developed on the banks of the Ganga and their tributaries, and it was known as Magad Kingdom, now lying in the state of Bihar. Its ruler was very powerful and set up a large kingdom known as Magad Kingdom. The most famous ruler was, the earliest ruler was Ajasatru, Bimbisar, and during 322 BC, the next very popular kings were Chandragupta Maurya, Bindusar, Samrat Asok. These rulers are make their Magad kingdom very powerful, very large, and very prosperous. Why people traveled? People traveled throughout from one part of the subcontinent to another. They traveled the hills, the high mountains, including Himalayas, desert, river, sea, made journey dangerous at times, but never impossible. So there are the various reasons for their traveling. Men and women traveled in search of livelihood and in search for their new job, new work. They also traveled and to escape from natural disasters like flood and drought. Thirdly, sometimes men marched to armies to conquering other lands like Alexander, Napoleon. These invaders want to conquer more lands to become powerful. So they attack on other countries for their large area. That's why in history you see there are very bloody war occurred. And history is full of blood war, full of. Next, beside this, merchants also traveled with caravan or ship carrying valuable goods from place to place. Merchants are people that they have buying the things another and selling their own item. So they trade each other for the things. Like there are so many merchants at that time, in earliest times, they travel long distance ago, and in this way you further you learn about Silk Route. Silk Route is the route where goes from Himalaya to China. There in China, silk is developed, and all the merchants went China for their silk because silk is very popular. That's why straight route is called Silk Route. Next, beside this, perhaps religious people also traveled from village to village and town to town, and they for their religious purpose, for their preach, for their teaching, for their wisdom, like Gautam Buddha, Mahavir Swami, Huayi Sang. These are the really spiritual people in our history. They sacrifice all their things to know religion. What is religion? What is truth? In this way, they traveling many places. Lastly, finally, some of the people have very adventurous spirit. They traveled one place to another for the search of new places, in search of new land, new country, new exciting places. So they traveled for their adventurous trip. Our next topic is name of the land. So two of the words we often used for our country, that is India and Bharat. The word India comes from the Indus called Sindhu in Sanskrit. In the past, the Iranian and Greeks who came through the northwest about 2500 years ago and were familiar with Indus called it the Hindus or the Indos, and the land of the east of the river was called India. So, in this way, India name was given by the outsiders. Bharat. The next, the Bharat was used for a group of people who lived in the northwest and who are mentioned in the Rig Veda. The earliest composition is Sanskrit, written about 3500 years ago. Our earliest book, Rig Veda. In the Rig Veda, they are mentioned about Bharatvarsh, and this Bharat is used for our country. So later, this Bharat is known for our country. Here our next topic is finding about the past. So there are several ways of finding about the past. One is search for, and second that is read books that were written ago. These are called manuscript because they were written by hand. This comes from the Latin words manu means hand and script means written. So books written by hand, that is called manuscript. These manuscript written on palm leaves and the bark of the birch tree that is specially found in Himalayas. So student, in this manuscript the scholars are written about the lives of kings, the victories of the kings, also written with religious beliefs and practices, about medicines, about literature and sciences. There are so many things written on the manuscript, and these manuscripts are our legacy, our earliest property. Many of the literacy destroyed with time, some of them composed, and many of them stolen. But some manuscripts were saved, those who are kept in the temples and monastery. So our Ved, Puran, epics, all are what is manuscripts. So these manuscripts are at that time written in Sanskrit language, our oldest language, that is Sanskrit written, and the common people language is Pali. So this manuscript is written in three languages: Sanskrit, Pali and Tamil. The next is inscription. What is inscription? Inscriptions means written inside, encrypted. So writings on relatively hard surface, such as stones or metals, is called inscription. On the inscription, sometimes king got their order inscribed so that people could see, read, and obey them. And king often kept records of their victories of battle on it. So men and people, kings and queen, all peoples write their achievements, their ideas, or their views, their orders. All have can recorded through the inscription. So there are many inscriptions found during the kingdom of King Asoka. An inscription is the plus point, that is having life. It is not destroyed because it is written on hard surface. Our next topic is how to find about the past. So archaeologists are the people who find about the past. Here archaeologist is made from two terms. Archaea means old age, old things, and logist means study. So the people study the old things, old objects are called archaeologists. So these people are study the remains of buildings, painting, sculptures, and there are so many things. So they for these things they explore the places, and after they explore the places they excavate it, Executed means dig under the earth, and dig under the surface of the earth to find tools, weapons, pots, pans, ornaments, coins, uh, the eggs of fish, birds, a skeleton. There are different types of things they found, and they study about this the types of the objects. So objects, there are various types of objects that may be hard, imperishable substance, usually survive for a long time. So this type of objects, archaeologists have searched, find, and after the study they tells about the past. Historians are those people who study about the past, got the information about, from the manuscripts, inscriptions, archaeologists. So historians are collect all this information from these peoples, from these things, and they this information they call source. A source is very much important in the history, because from the source historians make history. So after getting source, the study of past became very interesting. And here I want to tell you about the history of father, that was Herodotus. He was from the Greek, and her work is very excited, very intelligent, very nice work, because he collected all the information about the whole world, and he collectively on the account, and give one term, that is history. So history terms is given by the Herodotus. That's why it is called the father of the history. Our next topic is, what do dates mean? In the history, the dates is determined by the Western people, that is determined by the birth of Jesus Christ. In birth of Jesus is supposed to be the 0 point of the history. So we suppose 0 is a birth year of the Jesus Christ. So before that time, all the dates counted backward, that is called BC, and before and after the birth of Jesus Christ, all are called AD, Anno Domini. So if we 2020, we call AD 2020, and when we call 3000 years before, it means 2000 here and 1000 before BC. So 1000 BC and here 2000 AD. So CE common era used instead of AD, and BCE before common era is used instead of BC. So here I want to explain one example or more. If one asks 5000 years ago, it means here 0 birth year of Jesus Christ, and here 2000 AD and 2020 AD, and before 3000. So it means 2000 AD and 3000 BC. So this is the way we dates determined in our history. Student, our last topic is an elsewhere. We see about the Rosetta Stone of Egypt. As you know, inscriptions are written on the hard surface, and there are so many inscriptions written in ancient period with the use of both languages and script, and it is naturally by the time with the time period so many languages and scripts changed after the time. Like that earlier I told you about the word Hindu. The Hindu words derived from the Sindhu river. After that this Hindu becomes Hindus. Hindus became the word Indus, and after the India words derived from this Indus and Hindus word. Like that it is very problem faced by the scholars and archaeologists to find out what the inscriptions had written on. But these scholars and archaeologists tried their best to read about these inscriptions. So they got information from here and there, and get the ideas to read it and to find it, and they solve this problem from that. So this process is known as decipherment. So this word decipherment means words derived from the decipher, which means new things, new ideas. So like Rosetta Stone of Egypt, encrypted was thousands of years before, was written in three different languages, two one Greeks and two forms of Egyptian. So scholars and archaeologists face many problems to understand what is written on. So with this, finally they scholars skipped languages of Greek and Egypt together and matched them with pronunciation. This way they solved two problems. So now presently like this, many scholars and archaeologists tries to understand the scripts of inscription. But it is very sad, our great civilization, Indus Valley civilization script was still not read by the scholars and archaeologists, because the scripts of Indus Valley civilization was written with the use of symbols and pictures like that. So it is problem faced by the archaeologists to find out what the pictures and symbols means. So still they are trying their to solve this problem like that. So student, it is all for this chapter, and I hope you will understand this chapter well. Thank you. Students, now we are going to solve the exercise questions of our topic what, where, how and when. After that we solve activity based question, and then after multiple choice question, very short answer type questions, short answer type questions and long answer type questions. Now exercise questions start. Question number first. You have to interview an archaeologist. Prepare a list of 5 questions that you would like to ask him. And solution is: first, what is archaeology? Second, what does an archaeologist do? Third, what is the process involved in excavation? 4. How does archaeologists determine the age of any of the objects discovered from excavation? And fifth, why are symbols important in the field of archaeology? Question number 2. Match the following. And question given in the table. Column first, Narmada Valley, Magad, Garo Hills, Indus and its tributaries, Ganga Valley. And the second column is the first big kingdom, hunting and gathering, cities about. And the solution are Narmada Valley, hunting and gathering, Magad, the first big kingdom, Garo Hills, early agriculture, Indus and its tributaries, the first cities, Ganga Valley, cities about 2500 years ago. Questions number 3. List one major difference between manuscript and inscription. And the solution is: manuscripts were written by hand. These were usually written on palm leaves or on the specially prepared bark of a tree known as the birch, which grows in the Himalayas. And the inscriptions, these are writing engraved on relatively hard surfaces such as stone or metal. Question number 4. Return to Rashida's question. Can you think of some answer to it? When Rashida was reading the newspaper, her eyes fell on a small headline. 100 years ago? How she wondered. Could anyone know what happened so many years ago? The solution is: one can think of 4 different ways: inscription, manuscripts, tools and weapons, reading the books written in the past. Question number 5. Make a list of all objects that archaeologists may find. Which of these could be made of stone? Solution. The findings of archaeologists could be of 9 different types. Building made of stone and brick. Second, paintings. Third, sculpture. 4, tools. 5th, weapons. 6th, pots. 7, pans. 8, ornaments. 9, coins. Question number 5. Make a list of all objects that archaeologists may find. Which of these could be made of stone? Solution. The findings of archaeologists could be of 9 different types. Building made of stone and brick. Second, paintings. Third, sculpture. 4, tools. Fifth, weapons. Sixth, pots. 7, pans. 8, ornaments. 9, coins. Question number 6. Why do you think ordinary men and women did not generally keep records of what they did? And solution is, unlike the present day, record keeping was not easy in the past. Records were usually maintained by kings to describe their victories in battles. Those records were maintained by inscribing on stone, which were not an easy task that could be carried out by ordinary men and women. Question number 7. Describe at least 2 ways in which you think the lives of kings would have been different from those of farmers. And the solution is, first, kings had absolute power over all his subjects, irrespective of their profession. Farmers had no such powers. Second, kings lived in palaces. Farmers had no such opportunities. Third, the king was responsible for protecting his kingdom by waging battles, whereas the farmer's responsibilities were to grow crops. So student, your textbook question answer is now over and activity based question start. Now I am asking you the questions, then you think and try to give answer. And after a moment I will tell you the right answers. So multiple choice question start, and the first question is, people who gather their food are called, and the options are A. Hunters, B. Skilled gatherers, C. Farmers, D. Merchant. Question number 2. The places where rice was first grown are located in A. North of the Vindhyas, B. Suleiman Hills, C. On the banks of Ganga, D. Garo Hills. Question number 3. Dash was not used in the old books. A. Praktik, B. Hindi, C. Sanskrit, D. Tamil. Fourth, the kingdom of Magad was located A. On the banks of the Indus, B. In the south of the Vindhyas, C. In the area along Ganga's tributaries in the south of Ganga, and D. In the Garo Hills region. So choose the correct options to complete the statement given below. The answer of first question is option B, skilled gatherer. The answer of question number 2, that is north of the Vindhyas. The answer of question number 3 is A, Prakritik. Question number 4, the kingdom of Magad was located in, and the answer is in the areas along Ganga's tributaries in the south of Ganga. Now, fill in the blanks start. First, men and women moved in search of dash and to escape from dash. And the answer is in search of livelihood and to escape from natural disasters. Question number 2. The name India was given by the Iranis and the dash. And the answer is Greeks. Third, the work of the birch tree was used to prepare dash manuscript. Question number 4. Inscriptions were written on hard surface like dash stone and metal. Question number 5. Traveling from one place to another lead to enriched our cultural heritage. Next, true false state start. Whether the sentences are true, you write tree, and whether the statement are false, you write F. Now the first question is, the first crops were grown almost 8,000 years ago, and the answer is true. Question number 2. The Garo Hills are located in south of India, and the answer is false. Question number 3. The Magad kingdom was set up near the Ganga river, and the answer is true. Question number 4. The Rig Veda is the earliest composition in the Sanskrit language, and the answer is true. Question number 5. The Iranis and the Greeks called India Bharat, and answer is false. Question number 6. Inscriptions were written on the palm leaf, and the answer is false. Question number 7. The years are counted with reference to the birth of Christ, and the answer is true. Question number 8. Ordinary people used Praktik to talk to each other, and the answer is true. Next, very short answer type questions, and the questions are, first question is, what do you know about the location of the Suleiman and Kirthar Hills? And the answer is, the Suleiman and Kirthar Hills are located in the modern day Pakistan. Question number 2. Name any two animals which the people of the Suleiman and Kirthar Hills reared. And answer is sheep and goat. Question number 3. Where are the Garo Hills located? And the answer is, the Garo Hills are in the northeast of India. Question number 4. What are tributaries? Answer is, tributaries are small rivers that flow into a bigger river. Question number 5. Name the tributary of the river Ganga. And the answer is Son River. Question number 6. Where was Magad located? And the answer is, Magad was located in the south of the Ganga. Question number 7. Why was Magad famous for? And the answer is, Magad was famous because its rulers were very powerful who established a big kingdom. Question number 8. What was the job of religious teachers? And the answer is, religious teachers move from one place to another to offer instructions and advice to the people who meet on the way. Question number 9. From where does the word India came? And the answer is, the word India comes from the Indus known as Sindhu in Sanskrit. Question number 10. What is meant by manuscript? Answer, manuscript meant letter written by hand. Question number 11. What was used in the ancient time to write manuscript? Answer, palm leaf and the bark of the birch trees was used in the ancient time to write manuscripts. Question number 12. What are inscriptions? Answer, inscriptions are written on the relatively hard surface like stone and metals. Question number 13. Why do archaeologists look for bones of animals, birds, and fish? Answer, they do so in order to find out what people ate in the past. Question number 14. What are the occupation of the people of the Andaman Island? Answer, The people of the Andaman Islands are engaged in fishing, hunting, and collecting forest products. Next, short answer type questions. And the first question is, what do you know about the earliest people who live along the bank of river Narmada for several 100,000 years? And the answer is, those people were skilled gatherers. They gathered their food. They also collected roots, fruits, and other forest products for their food. They also hunted animals for this purpose. Question number 2. People in the earliest time used to travel from one place to another. What their journeys are full of dangers? What type of dangers did they face? And the answer is, it is true that people in the earliest time used to travel from this place to place, but their journey were very dangerous. The hills and high mountains, including the Himalayas, desert, rivers, and seas, created danger for them, but they never got afraid of them. Instead, they overcome them and continued to travel. Question number 3. Who are archaeologists? What do they do? And the answer is, archaeologists are persons who study the object of the past. They study the remains of the buildings made of stone and bricks, paintings, and sculpture. They also explore and dig the earth in order to find out tools, weapons, pots, pans, ornaments, and coins. Question number 4. How are city people different from the people living in the Andaman Island? And the answer is, people living in the Andaman Island manage their own food by fishing, hunting, and collecting forest produce. On the other hand, city people depend on others for supplies of food. Question number 5. How can you say that historians and archaeologists are like detectives? And the answer is, historians often use the word source to refer to the information found from manuscripts, inscriptions, and archaeology. Once sources are found, learning about the past becomes an adventure as we reconstruct it bit by bit. So, historians and archaeologists are like detectives who use all these sources like clues to discover about the past. Next is long answer type questions. And the question number 1 is, how was traveling an important part of life of the people in the past? And answer is, people in the past were very fond of traveling from one place to another. Although the hills and high mountains like the Himalayas, deserts, rivers, and seas posed great problem, but people keeps on traveling. They moved in search of livelihood. They had also in their mind to escape from natural disaster such as flood and drought. Sometimes made march in armies and conquered others' lands. Merchants traveled with caravans or ships. They carried valuable goods from place to place. There were religious teachers who used to walk from village to village, town to town. They offered instruction and advice to the people who met them on the way. There were also people who traveled because they were at adventures by nature. They enjoyed discovering new and exciting places. Question number 2. What are the different ways to find out about the past? And the answer is, the different ways to find out about the past are following. First, manuscript. These were handwritten matter. They were usually written on palm leaf or the bark of the birch tree. While many of these manuscripts got destroyed, many have survived in temples and monasteries. These books deals with all kind of subjects such as religious beliefs and practices, the lives of kings, medicines and science. This one script also include epics, poems and plays. Number 2. Inscriptions. Inscriptions are writing on relatively hard surfaces such as stone and metal surface. Sometimes kings got their orders inscribed in order to make common people aware of them. Inscriptions keep records of victories in battles. Third, archaeological excavation or evidences. Archaeology means the study of culture of the past and of the period of history by examining the remains of buildings and objects found in the earth. Archaeologists explore and dig earth to find tools, weapons, pots, pans, ornaments, and coins. These things provide us valuable information about the past.